The Raptors won again last night, their 15th straight, which is currently both the most ho-hum and the most extraordinary sentence in basketball. It's ho-hum because the Raptors winning appears to be just a part of our regular NBA life now. The sun comes up, the kids go to school, Toronto wins a basketball game. But it is also extraordinary, especially considering all that's happened to this team along the way. The other night, for example, Kyle Lowry was knocked out with whiplash. I didn't even know it was possible to get whiplash in an NBA game, but Lowry's head met Serge Ibaka's body in a way that one's head should not meet a 7-foot-tall, 240-pound human. And there you go. It was the second injury for Lowry this season, which puts him in good company since Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Fred VanVleet, and Norm Powell have all also missed double-digit games with injuries. And then, of course, there's the guy who's missed all the Raptors games this season because he doesn't play for Toronto anymore. Usually teams who lose a finals MVP fall apart after. But the Raptors situation is different in that, one, they were already a deep team before Kawhi Leonard showed up. And two, because Kawhi was only there a year, management never really got the chance to customize the roster to him. So while leaving may have punched a hole in the team fabric, it didn't pull out all the other threads around him. And those threads are really, really good. Lowry is playing with a confidence and comfort that makes you feel he could run the floor with a blindfold on. Siakam, who was already named Most Improved Player last year, has made such another big leap this season. This coming weekend, he'll be an all-star starter. Toronto had no traditional centers to match up against 7-footer Karl Anthony Towns. The Raptors ended up filling the starting center spot with Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, who told reporters to please note he is 6'5", thank you, without shoes on. And the Wolves, playing their first game with D'Angelo Russell, did come out lively. But the Raptors just don't really do losing anymore. They went on a 24-7 run in the fourth quarter. And there you go, win number 15. They would celebrate not just on the court, but today, here's how they looked on the plane for their next game in Brooklyn. Look at that. Just another ordinary, extraordinary day for the defending champs. Coach, look, they're still a chunk back from the Milwaukee Bucks. That is how just dominant Milwaukee continues to be. But after 15 wins in a row, would you say they are the biggest threat to Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference?
I don't know if they're the biggest threat, but I tell you what, they are a huge threat. And the reason why is because these guys were all a part of that championship team, and they grew from that. And as you can see, their young players now have all taken a jump to fill that void of Kawhi Leonard. So this is a team that's very confident. I think in tough games, they won't get sick at sea. It'll be normal for them. They'll be able to play games down to the wire. They'll have trust built in each other because if you also look at the season, they've had some incredible comebacks this year where they didn't get rattled and they just stayed with it. And the fact that all of those guys have been out multiple games, they've had to rely on different people, which means that they'll have confidence in the playoffs with different guys stepping up at different times.
I love what Toronto is doing, and I agree with Fiz. I still may be nuts, but I believe the Sixers can get it together. They have the talent in place to challenge Milwaukee. They have the belief with the superstar guys like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, if they can make it work, to go right at them. And there's no fear within that team once they're playing at a high enough level that they can get there. So I still think it's Philly. I love what Toronto's doing, but their ceiling is as high as anyone's to go knock off the Bucks.
You still have Miami, who just made incredible additions to their team, a championship coach just like Nick Nurse. And Boston is playing incredible basketball right now. And I think once the playoffs hit, when you talk about the versatility and scoring on that team, there's a lot of threats to Milwaukee. I still think Milwaukee will come out of the East. I just don't know if they could take care of that Western Conference winner.
We will certainly see that. We're going to talk more about the Sixers in the later part of the show. Here's one thing that struck me about the Raptors. They are not just the same team that had Kawhi on it once you took Kawhi off of it, right? Like, it's not the team that he came to. I'm sorry, that's the better way to say that. Look, that was a team that choked in the playoffs, right? We saw over and over again. Also ran into LeBron in the playoffs over and over again.
Yeah, that didn't help.
This is a team now that is 5th in the NBA in clutch wins.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about the growth of those young players and the confidence you get from winning a title, that stuff is real. They're just not the same team that when Kawhi found them.
And I think the suffering that Kyle Lowry had went through all of those years and finally getting over that hump, his confidence is at an all-time high now. He has deep belief in himself, and I think his teammates believe in him as well. They're too deep at every single position, and they got incredible versatility at the 2, 3, and 4. So they can match up defensively in a lot of different ways. I would not want to run into Toronto with a championship coach and Nick Nurse leading the way.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.